What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Next back with another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Dragon Age the Veilguard, and while I think it's a pretty solid game despite its flaws and some of the critiques I have for it, I'm going to have about 10 main talking points that I want to go through. So guys, if you enjoy this review, please give your boy a like and a subscription. If you don't agree with something I said in this video, feel free to comment below and let's have a respectful discussion. So guys, let's get right into it. So my background with Dragon Age, right, is very small. I played a little bit of Inquisition back in the day, but I did feel like the game was very grindy. I felt like it was very bloaty, and I came playing it years after, right? So I pretty much came kind of late, and I thought the combat was clunky. So when Dragon Age the Veilguard got announced, guys, I was really excited to jump in and finally be able to sit down and play one of these games fully through, because I've heard a lot of great things about this franchise, and BioWare is some of my favorite devs ever. The Mass Effect trilogy is by far my favorite trilogy of all time. I love Mass Effect 1. That's one of my favorite games of all time, and I might be kind of weird and by myself, but Mass Effect 1 is actually my favorite out of the trilogy because I felt like it was more of a true RPG, if that makes sense. So guys, let's get into the review. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the graphics and art style. And I actually really enjoy the art style and the graphics. I know it might not be for everybody, and this is one of them games where I honestly think you're gonna have to play it for yourself in front of your own eyes on your own TV or monitor, because watching on YouTube just doesn't do it justice. Before the game dropped, I was like, yo, that kind of looked cartoony. I'm not sure how I feel about that style, but I think the art style is one of the more unique ones. I think this game is very beautiful at times. It has some striking vistas when, exploring certain areas. And I think overall the game just looks great. I started playing this on my PlayStation 5 before I upgraded to my PlayStation 5 Pro. And I've always stayed in performance mode, 30 FPS, even though it has ray tracing and stuff like that. It just wasn't a fun experience for me personally, to each their own. But the performance mode is where it was at. I did notice, some small graphical problems here and there on the base PS5 with, blur here and there. But on the PS5 Pro, that pretty much cleaned up any problems I had. It was very smooth in the performance mode, and they brought over ray trace ambient occlusion as well in the performance mode. So I think the game looks really good. It ran pretty good. I had the minimum as far as bugs and stuff like that, and it's a shame, we have to congratulate and clap our hands whenever devs put out a game day one that's not completely buggy and a complete mess. But that's just the current state of gaming we're living in, right guys? A lot of games is not coming out polished and clean. Just Stalker 2 just released a few days before I recorded this review, and that's kind of a mess on Xbox. So some games just take a little more love and care to get there, and but this is one of those games that performed and looked great on day one, so I thought that's worth pointing out. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the combat and gameplay loop. The combat to me is really, really, really good. By far, probably the best thing about this game. I think that it rivals games like Dragon's Dogma that I played this year. But I would still give the edge to that just for a plethora of reasons. But this combat is really good. So I played a rogue archer build, as you can see in the background. It was just really fun. The skill tree is really dope. It's a lot of abilities. It's a lot of ways you can mix your play style. So I love that amount of freedom and that amount of structure when it comes to combat. And the gameplay loop is pretty fun as well. Whether it's, doing side missions for your companions, or just doing things to help out people you met in the area to grow your relationship with certain factions. I found that pretty fun to do, and I would love to take a break from the main missions and storyline here and there to help out my teammates and to help out the overall world, especially with some of the decisions you make throughout the game. To keep things spoiler free, you will be needing to lend help with certain factions. So with that being said, I want to talk about the world structure and the design. And guys, this might be a controversial take, but I think this world structure and design is one of the highlights personally for me, right? And I'm tired and burned out of open world games. I beat The Witcher earlier this year, one of my favorite games of all time, absolute banger. Working through Blood and Wine now. And I absolutely love Starfield, despite a lot of people not liking that game. I really enjoyed that as well. And I'm also a fan of Ubisoft games. I beat Assassin's Creed Valhalla earlier this year as well. So, I'm not closed off to open world games. I platinum Spider-Man 2 not too long ago. Check out that review as well. So I'm not against open world games, but the thing I love about this game is the linear structure. It feels linear without feeling linear. You have these sections that you can explore, you can look around for, chests and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much straight to the point. You're getting from A to C, kind of like that Mass Effect structure. You start a mission and you explore that area, and I really love that about this game, man, because it didn't feel bloated. It kind of made me appreciate where I was a lot more because it just felt more detailed. It felt more flushed out with it being linear. And the one knock on this, I guess you could say, is when you have to travel back and forth through those same streets multiple times. But you can take the Starfield route, just bring up the map and fast travel and skip all of that. So that was really, really dope. The mission design, like I mentioned earlier in the gameplay loop, I thought was very good, guys. I have no complaints about that. None of the missions felt overly long or just dragged out. Most of them is to the point, pretty fun, good combat, good characters you meet throughout the way. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is my thoughts on the companions. And guys, I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely love all of my companions except for Tosh. She was kind of my least favorite, only because she's a brat and not because of the other reason these weird people online is not liking them or they or whatever she want to be, called. No disrespect, but they was a pretty cool companion, but just wasn't my favorite. I love Nev. That was Bae. I spent most of the game just getting really close with her, and that became my little bookie butt by the end of the game. We locked in and became official. Doran, I loved him, and Hassan with the Griffin, absolutely dope. Balara, just so innocent, so pure, and just so adorable as well. Harding, she was just dope. Like every companion I really enjoyed, some more than others, but I have no complaints. And I love how the companions interact with each other on the missions. I love how they talk about what's going on in the world. I think this is one of the highlights, and I honestly think I may like these companions even more than the companions I had in Starfield, which is saying a lot because if you know me, then you know I love me some Andreja and I love me some Sarah. But I love these companions as well, and I thought that was one of the highlights of the game. Their combat skills is pretty dope, their skill trees. I pretty much loved it, and doing everybody loyalty missions and quest lines and getting to know them and understand what they have going on outside of the main mission we're focused on saving the world, right? So I think that was really dope, and I think that was really good. So hey man, A+ for the companions. I really enjoyed them. Now guys, we got to talk about the character creation options. I think this is a decent character creation option. I really love the hair physics that they brought to this game. I think that it's a small touch, but it's a nice detail. When you're looking at your character face for a lot of these RPGs and stuff like that, it's nice having some really, really good hair. So I just wanted to point that out and say shout out to Hogwarts as well for good hair. And guys, we got some good black hair designs. That's really important to me as a black man with dreadlocks. I love having multiple options for dreads and not just the weird Hollywood dread swooped over the face style, right? That's in there too. So I do have some critiques about the character creation options. I love how you guys is trying to put representation all throughout the game. I feel like that is awesome. You won't hear me disrespecting anybody's beliefs. I don't know who are all subscribed to my channel, so I will not disrespect anybody's lifestyle. That is not my style. Love who you love, like who you like, and live your life based on how you want to live your life. That is very important, in my honest opinion. That being said, you can't go all out on representation and don't let everybody be represented, in my opinion. I think it's corny that I can only make my butt so big. That is not representation. For the women out here that have big chests, that can't make their chest bigger than 2 ping pong balls, BioWare, that is not representation. So as much as I love the game and as much as I hate the whole anti-woke renegade that people is going on, they do have some validity to that aspect. You can't be trying to overly represent certain groups and then ignore other groups as well. If you're going to represent everybody, then you represent everybody fully. And I think that's one point that Dragon's Dogma does better. as far as customizing your people. And people can say, oh, it's weird, you want to make a big booty woman or a big booby woman, but it's like, no, but it is women with bigger chests out here that plays this game. Maybe they want to feel representation. It is women out here with wide hips that play this game. Maybe they want better representation. So my whole point is, you can't just pick and choose when you want to represent something or someone. If you're gonna die on that representation hill to the point where it's kind of controversial, you should definitely have everybody feeling like they're represented. So that was one of my problems with the character creation options. So I just wanted to point that out. And besides that, guys, I had no problem. I think the character creation menu is pretty dope, man. I made a very beautiful black woman for my first playthrough, and for the second playthrough, in the background, as you can see, I'm making a dwarf, for Harding, have them little relationship going on, you know what I'm saying? So the next thing I want to talk about is the voice acting, and I thought that was really done, even from the rook voices, whether it's a female or a male voice. I think the companion's voice acting was done very well. Honestly, I haven't seen anybody in this game where the voice acting was like, oh, that guy don't sound good or she sounds off. So the voice acting was very good. The sound design was good, and the music was also very good, which I really enjoyed, whether it's music during combat or it's music during just chill exploration sections, or just some calm music playing as you conversate with your companions as you explore a certain area. To me, guys, I love good sound design, so for me that was huge, and this game nailed that down. I wanted to point out, it is confirmed that no DLC will be released. It took me about 40 hours to roll credits. That's what, maxing out and doing all the nav side quests. I started to do a lot of the other companion side quests, but like I said, I like them all so much, I dang near want to have a character dedicated to each person. For Belara, I want to do an elf Veilguard guy to date her. For Hardin, I just made my dwarf, and they're going to have a relationship. So, it might be weird, but I want to get to know all my companions to the up max most. But I will say, from what I got to learn about them, it was very fun and very dope. And all of their voice acting was very well done. I have no complaints about that. And with the confirmed no DLC, I feel like that's okay and that's fine, because like I said, I'm a huge BioWare fan, and hearing that they are now fully focused on Mass Effect, I'm extremely happy, and I absolutely cannot wait. Now, I guess the last thing I want to talk about, well, three more points I want to talk about, right, guys? Is the game woke? My thoughts on the pandering. No, I wouldn't say the game is woke. I would just say the game is modernized. We live in a world now where people do identify certain things, and my whole thing is, I'm not a trans person, so people was just calling me he and him, which I am, so I had no problem with that. It is a few areas in the game, especially with one of your companions, where she identifies as a they them, and it's like, okay, it don't really bother me. I get it might bother somebody, but I didn't feel like it was really forced in your face, and I feel like most of the time it's definitely unavoidable, to the point where if you don't like hearing that specific companion, she's never having to be on your team, and if you can honestly just skip over those entire combat sequences. So I think people is really blowing that out of the water, and I think it reflects in the sales. The game sold pretty well and the game reviewed pretty well, so despite all the hate and negativity around the game, somebody is out there enjoying it, and that's who this review is for, just for real gamers, man. I'm not gonna come on here and just be super negative about any and every game. I'm just here and happy about gaming. When I played Mass Effect 1 and 2 back in the day, when I was younger, I didn't care if it was hidden agendas, because I wasn't looking for any agendas. I was just looking for a good time with a game, and that's what I still currently do nowadays. People who let their gaming experience be ruined by strangers online, who get paid to spew negativity and ignorant shit, is just, that's a personal problem that I cannot relate to. So I guess my last thing I want to say is it a good RPG? I want to say yes, but I want to say it's a more lighthearted RPG. And one of my critiques about it as well is I don't feel like I could be as evil as I wanted to. Shout out to my homie Gritty. He's currently doing an evil playthrough. I did the more like neutral playthrough. I was trying to be a dickhead and sarcastic, but when I noticed that what I was picking through the text to be evil and mean is not what my character was saying, I was like, well, okay, I see how this is gonna go. So I just decided to be like, you know, a more positive person, a more like positive team leader. So that's one of my critiques is I don't like RPGs where I can't just be straight up evil, right? Where I can't just be just straight like a dickhead. And honestly, that's a step back coming from Mass Effect, from BioWare. So that's kind of one of my biggest critiques is I just don't feel like that evil aspect is there. And when you have games like Baldur's Gate 3 out here letting you just be as evil as you want, and then you get a game like this where it's very lighthearted and your decisions isn't as, you know, impactful for your bad decisions and choices, you know, that's worth pointing out. But I will say this, and I will end it on this. Do I recommend this game? Yes. Especially if you can catch it on a sale down the line. You know, Black Friday's here, the holiday season is coming, spring sale will be here next year. So I definitely recommend buying this game on a sale. I do think it's a couple things that this game could have done better, but it does so many things right that honestly, I would definitely recommend this game, man. I really enjoyed it. I definitely wish it was more, you know, evil decisions and stuff like that, but besides that, that's my only complaint. And once I started looking at it like a more lighthearted RPG, I honestly had a blast, guys. I really had a good time with this game. If I had to put a number on it, I would definitely say 8 out of 10. You know, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. It's been your boy Next Chanel. Please like, please subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. And if you're watching on the Game Pass Daily channel, make sure you cut on that notification bell so you can watch the Aim Down Sights podcast every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're on my personal YouTube channel, Next Year Narrow, watching this, please feel free to click the link in the description to the Game Pass Daily channel where we do our podcast every Saturday at 7. Thank you guys. I appreciate everybody for rocking with me like I rock with them. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. I have plenty of content and reviews coming up, but it's the holiday season, so some days I wake up motivated, other days I wake up and just want to enjoy the time with the family. So, yo, be safe, be happy, and keep gaming. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.